I read the Stoics in bed, not at a desk, not in a library, not as a student or a scholar or a person seeking self improvement. In bed at 3 in the morning when the house is dark and the mind is loud and the day's performance has been stripped away, and I am left with nothing but the raw material of my anxiety. I want to be honest about this because the Stoics have become, in our culture, a brand. You can buy Stoic journals with inspirational Marcus Aurelius quotes on the cover. You can listen to podcasts that reduce Stoicism to a set of productivity hacks. You can scroll Instagram accounts that pair Seneca's maxims with photos of expensive watches and mountain sunrises. And all of this is, by Stoic standards, a joke, because the Stoics were not writing about productivity. They were writing about survival. They were writing about how to remain a human being in conditions designed to destroy your humanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote the Meditations, the most widely read Stoic text, not in a studio or a salon, but in a military camp on the Danube frontier. He was the emperor of Rome. He was at war. He was far from home, surrounded by death, managing an empire that was cracking under the pressure of plague and invasion. And every night in his tent, he wrote reminders to himself about how to live. The reminders are repetitive. He says the same things over and over. Control what you can, release what you can't. Remember that you're mortal. Remember that this moment is all you have. The repetition is not a sign of poor writing. It's a sign of honest writing. Marcus Aurelius needed to hear these things every day because he forgot them every day. I recognize this. The principle that I should focus only on what I can control is something I understand at 9 in the morning and have forgotten by 9:15. The first email, the first meeting, the first unexpected crisis, and the principle evaporates. Not because it's wrong, because the world is stronger than the principle. This is what Pierre Hadot taught me, the philosopher who sits next to Marcus Aurelius on my shelf. Hadot's argument is that ancient philosophy was not a body of doctrines, it was a set of spiritual exercises. Stoicism was not a theory about the world, it was a training regimen for the soul, and the Meditations is Marcus Aurelius's training log, not his finished thought, his daily practice, written in the dark, written in the tent. Epictetus was a slave. This fact is crucial and is usually mentioned as a biographical footnote. It should be the headline. The most powerful Stoic ethical system was developed by a man who owned nothing, not even his own body. When Epictetus said, "What are you talking about? Me in chains? You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower." He was not speaking metaphorically. He was describing his actual situation. He's saying, they can control your body. They can control your circumstances. They cannot control your mind, right? Unless you let them. And the unless you let them is the tiny space of freedom that makes a human life possible, even in conditions of total external constraint. Seneca is the Stoic I trust most because he's the Stoic who fails most visibly. He was a millionaire. He served Nero. He compromised constantly. He wrote beautiful essays about the simplicity of the philosophical life while living in a palace. And he knew it. He knew the contradiction. He's admitting that the Stoic posture, the calm, the equanimity, the philosophical composure, is not a natural state. It's a discipline. It requires effort. It fails, and the failure is not a reason to abandon the discipline. The failure is the discipline. You fail, you notice, you return, you fail again, you notice again, you return again. The returning is the practice. The returning is the life. I read the Stoics at 3 a.m. because that's when I need them, not as wisdom, not as inspiration, as company. The company of people who have been awake in the dark, afraid, and who wrote down what they found there. Marcus in his tent, Epictetus in his chains, Seneca in his palace, knowing the palace was a lie. All three of them saying, the thing you're afraid of is real. The anxiety is justified. The world is as hard as it seems. And you can still choose. You can still return. You can still, in the dark, in the tent, in the chains, in the palace, in the bed at 3 in the morning, you can still practice being human. That's enough. It has to be, because it's all we have.